Roger Federer wants to be known as tennis' greatest player, believes Greg Rusedski. Greg Rusedski and Annabelle Croft discuss the impact that Nadal and Federer have had this season. Greg Rusedski and Annabelle Croft discuss the impact that Nadal and Federer have had this season. Greg Rusedski believes Roger Federer wants to be remembered as the sport's greatest player of all time after securing his sixth title of the year with victory over Rafael Nadal at the Shanghai Masters. Federer claimed his second Shanghai crown, after his first in 2014, and third at the Masters 1000th level this season to narrow the gap behind the world number one from Spain. The 36-year-old Swiss, who has already won the Australian Open and Wimbledon this year, suggested he had not committed to playing in Basel and Paris ahead of the season-ending World Tour finals, when he spoke to Sky Sports following his victory in the Chinese city, and would instead target winning in London as his main goal. Federer wants to be remembered as the sport's greatest ever player, believes Greg Rusedski. Rusedski believes that despite hurting his ambitions of finishing the season as the end-of-year world number one, should he not feature in Basel and Paris, he would be adopting a clever strategy as the season draws to a close. Federer spoke to Sky Sports after winning the Shanghai Masters and said his focus is not the world number one spot. Federer spoke to Sky Sports after winning the Shanghai Masters and said his focus is not the world number one spot. Roger is very clever, Rusedski said. Even if he doesn't play at Basel and Paris and get to world number one, but he wins more Masters series, they have 2 slams apiece, and then wins in London, he will have actually won more of the bigger titles, because the World Tour Finals is probably the 5th major if you are looking outside the majors. Roger is thinking of the bigger picture all the time. Really, the only player to threaten him as the greatest player of all time is Rafa. He has equaled Sampras with 16 majors, Roger has 19. Quote, Nadal added the US Open title to the French Open he won earlier this year. Federer decided to miss the clay court season this year to help his chances during the grass court season, which paid dividends as the world number 2 picked up his 8th title from the All England club. But Rusedski believes Nadal will push Federer close in the number of Grand Slam titles if the Spaniard stays injury-free. Rusedski added, there is a 5-year difference between the pair. Rafa, apart from the little strapping on his knees in the final, has looked very healthy. Federer, is going to try and keep Rafa away from having more majors than him. Quote, meanwhile, the former US Open finalist described the year's tennis so far as phenomenal and great for the sport, despite former world no-ones Andy Murray and Novak Djokovic being ruled out for the second half of the year throughout hip and elbow injuries respectively. Alexander Zverev has impressed in the absence of Murray and Djokovic. The former British number 1 is adamant that Murray, a 3-time Grand Slam champion, can rediscover his best form on his return to the scene, but he does not feel so optimistic for Djokovic. The Serb's best performance at this year's Grand Slams were runs to the quarter-finals at the French Open and Wimbledon, with Rusedski concerned by the 30-year-old's fall from grace. Can Andy Murray and Novak Djokovic recover their form and fitness to enjoy a successful campaign in 2018? Rusedski added, Murray, for me it's not mental, it's physical. If the body comes back and the hip is fine and he can get himself physically fit again, and everything is firing, he will be in the mix to win majors again. Djokovic for me, however, with the elbow injury, it's such a mental question mark. He was the best player bar none when he held all the 4 majors at the same time, which no player had done since Rod Laver. The fall from grace he has had has been incredible. That to me is mental, and that can be more difficult to overcome sometimes than a physical injury. Quote, Highlights of Rafael Nadal against Roger Federer in the final of the Shanghai Masters. Highlights of Rafael Nadal against Roger Federer in the final of the Shanghai Masters. We will have all the action from the Erste Bank Open in Swiss indoors Basel, followed by the Paris Masters. Live ATP Tennis live on the next-gen ATP Finals in Milan and season-ending extravaganza World Tour Finals at London's O2 in November, and another memorable year which will be covered via our website www.skysports.com. Tennis with live blogs and updates as the season reaches its climax. On the move, head to our app for mobile devices and iPad, or follow our Twitter account at Sky Sports Tennis to join in the conversation. Who will win the World Tour Finals this year? Have your say.